Hi, I'm Mark Dill for Racer.com. I'm at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and we're getting ready for the Brickyard Invitational, and we've got Tony Parella, the CEO and president of the Sports Car Vintage Racing Association that's hosting the event. Tony, welcome to Indianapolis.
It's good to be here, Mark.
I got to ask you, just how important is it for the SVRA to be at this iconic speedway?
Look, we're at Indy, and as a fan, as a racer, there's nothing on our schedule that's more important. To prove that point, we're announcing this week we're going to be adding a second weekend to the Brickyard Invitational. It will be exclusively for open wheel cars. It'll be the only track we race at twice a year.
Very cool.
So, to be here, it's huge. Very
cool. So that ties in with the whole growth of your business. So we go back to 2012, and then we had you were working with a business that really wasn't a business. It was a club, and it was regional. And fast forward 4 years, and now you've got major sponsors like Jaguar. It looks like, by all appearances, you're on a national platform with 16 races, major tracks. And you, by all appearances, have a multi-million-dollar business going here. So how'd you do that?
Well, when I bought SVRA, the goal was to take vintage racing and along with it SVRA to mainstream motorsports. So when people mention motorsports in this country, they hear, you certainly hear NASCAR, IndyCar, NHRA. I wanted vintage racing and SVRA mentioned in the same breath. And I think as we evolve, we're not there today. Clearly, if you have 10 people on the shoulder, I'm not sure all 10 of them are going to know what SVRA is. But we're tracking along on that journey.
Very good. So when you have had a lot of success, but you're not without your critics. So some people are saying you're being too aggressive, you're not really respecting the equipment. We've had a couple of accidents, especially like the Pro-Am, and the Pro-Am's a good example of maybe being over-the-top aggressive. So how do you respond to critics?
In 30 years of business, whatever industry I was in, trying to make a difference, you're going to have critics. I listen to critics, I listen to everybody. But you have to do what you know is intuitively right. The Pro-Am has created to use that one piece of it, but in general, our mantra has always been respect the equipment, no contact racing. Flag football analogy is what I refer to a lot, that you have to come out, you can race within your capabilities, race hard, but certainly not put the equipment at risk. The Pro-Am introduced a concept of taking former Indy 500 veterans and pairing them for charity with an amateur in a Mustang Camaro or a Corvette, American Muscle that all kids and fans can relate to. And it's been an amazing journey. This year, to prove that I think it is working, we have 34 in the field, largest field we've ever done, because we added a NASCAR role for Bill Elliott and Ray Abraham in addition to the Indy cars. But I have 34 called up and asked me to be in it. From the amateur side, and I got 5 people on a waiting list. So if you think about, there's 60 plus Group 6 cars that we would use for this Pro-Am. Over half of them volunteered to please put me in.
So the level of interest among the owners is the highest it's ever been?
Ever been. And they're going to, as always, when we do a driver meeting for the Pro-Am, we remind them that this is flag football, not the NFL, and ensure that we do everything we can and keep the race in perspective. But I think if you don't create this awareness of opportunity for the drivers, what are we here for? You want to experience Indianapolis Motor Speedway. What better way to do it than with your co-driver of Al Unser Jr. or Lynn St. James?
So let me ask you this. I mean, obviously a lot of growth and high profile. Where do you go from here? Do you see SVRA expanding beyond vintage, for example?
Oh, today we've almost from day one, I partnered with a professional series, Trans Am, where we did some joint events together. I've had them on my schedule. I've had International GT on my schedule, a relatively new Porsche group and Ferrari group. I don't know. There's no real limit to what this can become. The journey towards being part of mainstream motorsports, the base event's got to feel like a festival, so it's different than any other element of motorsports. Instead of just going to a race and getting in a seat and watching a race, we want interactivity with our fans. From a business perspective, it's getting enough awareness and drive in the industry that we graduate. First was automotive-related sponsors, then we elevated to luxury brand sponsors like a Jaguar, Land Rover, Zenith Watch, Robert Talbot, etc. When we've got the scale that I'm talking about for being part of mainstream motorsports, we can graduate into consumer brands. And when that day happens, there's no end to the potential as long as we keep investing in ourselves and evolve. And, you know, I guess in theory, if you look at it, if you look where we were 3 years ago to where we are today, it's been an amazing journey. Yet here I am 3 years later going on our 4th year, and I don't even feel like we've begun. So that's really the takeaway from this.
So onward and upward. Tony, great job. I wish you all the best this weekend. I know this is a super event, and you get more attention here probably than anywhere else. So this is Mark Dill for Racer.com at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway at the Brickyard Invitational.